Hello people of the internet, it's Amanda, and first off, I'm so sorry for the lighting in today's video because it's raining outside, but I hope that you still enjoy. We're gonna be talking about F4 Thailand's pilot episode, so I'm pretty excited about this one because I made a video about the trailer just a couple of days ago, or was it a week ago? And if you're new here on my channel, basically I do Asian drama reviews and movie reviews, but I focus more on J-drama. But at the same time, when the topic is about the Hana, Yori, Dango franchise, I just get right down to it. I have tons of videos about that and even have a comparison video in terms of like the past adaptations. I've seen almost all of them, except for again the 2018 Mirror Garden version where I've seen a couple of episodes and I just couldn't last. But all the versions covered, and that's why I'm pretty excited to talk about this one today. So, for this one, I just want to say that right off the bat, I feel like the tone was really on point. I usually just watch Thai movies as compared to Thai dramas, and this is the first time that I'm gonna be really diving into a Thai drama. So, but what I noticed from their films is it's very similar to Japan in a way that they have this knack for going with comedic type of narratives, but then at the same time, like they also weave social commentary into it when it's possible, and they really are good at it. So I feel like that's also the reason why even in just the first sequences of this pilot episode, you already see that particular contrast, which I'll be elaborating on later into this video, focusing on this particular aspect that I absolutely loved, and I think it's just in the first couple of minutes of the series, and I feel like that moment set the tone for me for the entire thing, is when Thyme was explaining what the purpose of the red card is and this entire thing that they're doing in school. So he explains that, you know, given the anonymity that the internet gives everyone nowadays, everyone just feels so comfortable in doing what they do and venting out what they're trying to vent out. But the problem with that level is, even if, you know, you're using the level of anonymity to bash someone or to say something bad about something else, there's the risk of being scrutinized for that or called out for that, given, you know, the internet works both ways, where you can be policed, but at the same time you can enjoy the power that comes with not being able to be known with, even no matter how brash your opinion is. So this thing that they're doing in this stadium at school where there's no CCTV and stuff, it allows people to push out that potential of just being bad and pushing out their opinions and venting out and that stuff without being supervised. And I feel like that is very scary in a way that it actually is a reality where if people are left unsupervised and unpoliced, this is a potential that they have, this level of cruelty. And again, given the anonymity of the internet, people are also very not mindful of what they say or do anymore, simply because of that particular power that the internet is giving them. So that's why the importance of surveillance and being able to be watched over is important. So even in that particular sequence, that message was already sent across, but it wasn't preachy at all. I mean, it was from the perspective of Thyme, and it sort of like explains the dynamic of how this thing with why everyone is so on board with, you know, the bullying that was happening in school, and why the F4 is getting away with whatever it is that they're doing, is because it taps into the potential of people's and what happens when they're given power and they're not being called out for the bad things that they're doing. So from there, I already loved the direction that they're going, simply because, again, I was wondering how they're going to tweak this into something that fits 2021. And as compared before, where just the justification for Domyoji or Dao Mingzi acting out is simply because he's lashing out or something like that. This one, it explains how twisted this idea can get if someone is left unsupervised with this kind of like power. So it's power tripping, but there's a certain like effect or idea, bigger ideology behind it. So I really like that. Next is the idea of media manipulation. So when Gorya was ranting to her her part-time workmates about this idea about the F4, their boss comments that, you know, there's nothing bad that he can see about the F4 simply because of what's put out there on the internet again. And this follows the same idea that, you know, everything like in terms of image or anything like that, it can be tweaked. And there's this particular line which I couldn't remember exactly, but there's this line that was said about influence and how it can be very scary, especially if it comes from people of power, and they're in the position to like have that certain level of influence. And unfortunately, like the mindset is that people who are not at par with that particular social status couldn't do anything about it. So that's why Gorya's boss warned her and told her that, you know, that like just don't put yourself there, just don't get yourself involved, because you're not at that particular level where you can compete with them. So again, it's a very like nice and comedic, like there's a lot of like nice and comedic moments in there, but they're really putting the effort to put out these issues into the narrative as well without being preachy and with it being relatable to the audiences who are watching it. So I really like that. Now, in terms of the trio, the main three characters, so there's Ren, there's Gorya, and there's Thyme. So for Ren first, I think initially I really like the direction that they're going with this character. Again, it's as I mentioned in my trailer review video, I feel like it's going to be a little bit more different in terms of the past iterations of Hanazawa Rui, where in Hanazawa Rui's character, he's a little bit more passive. It's like he's there in moments where the character of Chikushi needs him, but he also passes it off as something that just so happens. You know, there's a certain still coldness to his character in the initial parts of the story, but then for this one we kind of like see that he actually really cares. It's not that he was just bored or whatever as to what's happening. His distaste for what's really happening is up front. It's very glaring in the first parts of the story, but at the same time, even Gorya acknowledges the fact, like in other versions, like I remember in Hanadan, when Yuki was telling Makino that, you know, isn't he also part of what's happening because he doesn't stop them, and then Chikushi sort of like defends the character of Rui simply because she's starting to develop a crush on him. But then here, Gorya was the one who points out that, you know, Ren is also equally guilty, or all of them is somehow equally guilty, simply because they don't say anything despite the fact of what, you know, whatever Thyme is doing. So I like the changes in terms of who delivers certain lines based from like the other references as compared to this version, because I feel like, again, it changes the weight of certain things. And speaking of changes, one of my absolute changes that they did for this particular version is about the shoe. So in the other versions, the shoe line where good shoes take you to good places, it's an iconic line in this particular franchise that's been passed down in almost all of the versions. But in the other versions, it's delivered by Shizuka, who is the first love of Hanazawa Rui and is the idol of Makino Chikushi's character and the reason why she enters Eitoku in the first place. So in this version, I forgot the name of the girl who's playing Shizuka, but here, instead of her delivering the lines, it's actually Gorya's dad who delivers the lines, and it's in reference to something that Gorya's mom said. So earlier on into the story, Gorya Gorya, they were talking about her shoes and how bad it is and how worn out it is already, but she doesn't want to change it because, again, additional expenses and all of that. And then later on, when she gets into a disagreement with her mom because she thinks that her mom was really just encouraging her to go to this school because she wants him to like marry rich or anything like that, and then to sort of like make them up, her dad and her brother comes to her and then presents her with these new school shoes. It's not like any other fancy shoes that was in the other versions, but these are like school shoes, and it was from her mother's savings. And then it talks about I think the reason why Gorya feels uncomfortable in her new school is because her shoes are bad, and for us given our social status, we always go for bad shoes, so we couldn't get to good places. And I think there's a certain weight to that particular narrative, because instead of this person who's already like, this character is admiring, giving her fancy shoes, these are very simple shoes that is being given to her. It's something that she needs, and it's a necessity, and something that her mom worked hard for, as compared to just a part of Shizuka's collection in a way. I think they're going to do that in episode 2 because I saw the preview, but at the same time, like, this changes the dynamic here where she's presented with these shoes, and then eventually later on we see Thyme destroying the shoes, and she uses this exact shoe to kick the hell out of him and to show him that you're not gonna get away with this attitude of yours. And I absolutely love the transition of that particular sequence leading up to the moment where she confronts Thyme. I think in a way I like how it's a parallel to Hana, Yori, Dango, the Japanese versions way of when Tsukushi confronted Domyoji versus how Gorya confronted Thyme, where Tsukushi, for her, she witnessed how her family was trying so hard to give her the best for her bento. And her dad even like giving her like the best fish cakes, her brother wanting the best carrots to be put on her bento, and how even late at night, her parents are trying to fix up this bento for her to like have this meal in her school. And then for Domyoji to just destroy it and just step on the lobster that her parents worked hard for it to be put on her bento. And then the parallelism of that in terms of how the shoes was built up in a way that they're really happy about something so simple, because it was a product of hard work, and what it means for why they want Gorya to go to the school is because for her future, and how it would open opportunities for her to have a better life and stuff. And then Thyme destroys it, and that both of those versions and the build up that leads to why they confront Domyoji and Thyme, I absolutely love it. And I feel like it's definitely, I'm not even sure now which version I like more in terms of that particular build up. Would it be the Hanadan version or the F4 Thailand version? So that I really enjoy that moment in this particular drama, and I like how it ended at that note. I'm pretty excited about the next episode, and definitely I feel like this is a very promising version. I feel like Gorya, who plays Gorya, is the one that's carrying everything so far, because I really like her acting, even more so than the male leads. I think she's carrying the drama really well. I want to see more from the F4 themselves in terms of just acting, in terms of just more, just something more. And I feel like this drama is gonna be really good if they can try to like really press on that. But yeah, so far so good. Now, with that said, tell me down in the comments below, have you seen the first episode? What are your thoughts on it? I just want to know. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll be seeing you again soon in a new one. Bye!